You ever get fined $79 for having a garden hose in the wrong color? Yeah, that's how this all started. A $79 fine, crammed into my mailbox in an envelope marked urgent, with that smug little HOA logo in the corner like it was from the IRS. And the reason? Non-compliant outdoor equipment. Translation? My green garden hose didn't match the HOA-approved desert sand aesthetic, which by the way is just beige. But here's the kicker, this wasn't about a hose. Not really. This was personal, because 2 days earlier I didn't wave back at her, Karen, and trust me, she noticed. She's the type who walks around with a clipboard like it's a weapon. The unofficial sheriff of our cul-de-sac. Perfectly manicured nails, fake smile, eyes like lasers. She's got this weird addiction to upholding neighborhood standards, which apparently includes measuring lawn height and publicly shaming garbage bins left out past 10A. I crumpled the fine in my hand, not because of the money but the message. She thought this was over a hose. I already knew she was gonna regret ever sending that fine. It started with a mailbox, actually. The whole neighborhood is quiet, almost too quiet. Manicured lawns, identical mailboxes, and that eerie HOA vibe where no one's ever quite themselves. My house? Third from the end. Hers? Right across the street, 2 flags, 3 cameras, 1 Karen. I just finished putting in a raised garden bed. Tomatoes, peppers, a few herbs. Nothing offensive. But apparently my hose clashed with the community palette. Never mind that it was neatly coiled, barely visible behind a bush. Next morning, she's standing at the edge of her lawn, sunglasses on, arms crossed. You know the hose is against code, right? She chirped like a crow with a Starbucks addiction. I blinked. Warning to you, from 2. Page 17 of the guidelines. Section 3. Color compliance for outdoor fixtures. It's very clear. I smiled. Didn't know you memorized the whole handbook. Her lips tightened into a thin line. I enforce it. 2 days later, the fine arrived. $79. And a warning. Failure to comply will result in escalating penalties. But that was just the beginning. A week later, my trash can mysteriously got tagged for being slightly visible from the street. $25 fine. Then a friendly neighbor came by, Mr. Jenkins, sweet old guy with a walker, and said Karen had asked if my fence was legally grandfathered in. The same fence that's been here for 10 years. She was digging. Literally. She was caught poking around the side of my yard one morning with a tape measure. When I asked her what she was doing, she said, just checking for code compliance. Nothing personal. Oh, but it was personal. One night, I heard a scratching sound outside. Went out to find my solar lights mysteriously removed from the front path. 2 were broken. Coincidence? I think not. It became a game. Shed fine, ID fix. She'd worn ID comply. But it was like fighting fog. Every time I did one thing right, she invented 2 more rules. I started getting HOA newsletters that included passive-aggressive reminders about things like lawn edge trimming consistency. I knew she was behind them. The tone screamed Karen. But the final straw? A violation for unsanctioned signage. I had put a little welcome sign near my door. It said, come back with tacos. Apparently, tacos aren't HOA approved. I got fined again, $1.50 this time. That's when I stopped reacting. That's when I started planning. You see, the HOA wasn't some faceless overlord. It was 5 people. And Karen? She was just 1 vote, albeit the loudest. I started going to meetings, quietly, sitting in the back, watching, taking notes. Turns out she'd annoyed a lot of people. Like Susan, the treasurer who got fined last year for excessive wind chimes. Or Miguel, who got slapped with a violation for parking his truck slightly crooked. Over wine and whispered conversations, alliances started forming. I dug into the bylaws. Karen loved to weaponize the rules, but she didn't follow them all herself. For example, her garden gnome? Technically non-compliant due to height. Her driveway light? 130 lumens over the limit. So I did what any calm, rational neighbor would do. I submitted a formal complaint, then 2, then 3, all with photographic evidence, time-stamped. I built a dossier. I also filed a petition for a vote to restructure the board. I needed 3 signatures to bring it to vote. I got 12. When the special meeting was announced, Karen looked unsettled. The neighborhood wasn't scared of her anymore. She showed up, clipboard and all, trying to maintain that icy control. But the room was different. Quieter, unified, fed up. The vote was simple. A motion to remove Karen as compliance chair and limit board member powers to prevent unilateral fines without majority approval. It passed. Unanimously. Karen tried to argue. She quoted rulebooks, waved papers, even threatened legal action. But when Susan calmly asked her, were you aware your front porch wreath is 6 inches larger than regulation size? The room laughed. She stormed out. 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. Not a fine. An apology. From the HOA president, not Karen, explaining that the fines would be waived and that future enforcement would go through proper channels. Oh, and Karen? She resigned from the board. The neighborhood got a little quieter. Less clipboard energy. More dogs on walks. More hellos. And me? I got a new garden hose. Bright neon green. Just for fun. Here's what I learned. Petty power only works if people stay quiet. But the moment one voice stands up, others follow. And when the rulebook gets weaponized, sometimes you gotta turn the page on them. So, to Karen, thank you. You taught me how to organize a neighborhood. To everyone else watching, what would you have done? Have you ever dealt with a Karen in power? Drop a comment with justice served if you stuck around this long. Smash that like if you've ever wanted to fight back against an unfair system and maybe even won. And if you love stories where the underdog flips the script, subscribe, because I've got more. And next time, it's personal.